One thing I noticed watching the YouTube videos on this thing is the guys trying to do it with it bolted to a 2x4 or something, or a 2x6, something like that. And it just makes an already clumsy job much worse. You'll notice I have mine bolted rather solidly to a bench. I recommend that even if you have to bolt it down, use it, unbolt it, and go store it someplace, which is what I'm going to do, because obviously it would be in the way all the time. Okay, this is going to be a video, I hope, of using my handy dandy Harbor Freight tire changer. I'm going to be changing some 4-inch rimmed caster wheels off my tow behind mower. I learned a couple things on my test drive. One of which is, for these very small rims, don't use the centering cone. It jacks things up too high in the air, and when you go to use the demounting tool, it don't work. So we're going to put the rim over the stud, and skipping the centering cone, just screw the tool mount down. About 1.5 miles. Okay, and we're going to pull the core. These are tubeless, but unfortunately they're also cheap Chinese rubber, and the air leaches out right through the rubber, and I'm getting flat tires every time I turn around. And of course, you know my patience level. I put up with that for about 10 seconds. So what I'm doing is demounting and putting tubes in. Another problem with them is that the tubeless valve stems, I couldn't get any curved ones, so as you can see, they're a pain in the neck to get at. Alright, and then we're going to mount the bead breaker. There's a number of positions on the bead breaker for depending on rim size, etc. I find that for there we go. For these little tires, the position closest to the pivot works the best. And I also had to put the bead tool itself in the shortest position so I could get in close to the rim. Flip the tire over, break the bead on the other side. Thusly. Slip the demounting tool in. And this is where you get into trouble if you've got the cone on. It jacks things up, and I wound up bending the tire mounting stud. I'm going to go ahead and squirt a little of my handy dandy tire lube in there, also known as Dawn dishwashing detergent. Wonderful stuff. I don't know if it actually works on dishes or not. It works great on tires. And walk around thusly. Lube up the other bead. You'll notice that I'm taking the tire all the way off, which on a larger tire you wouldn't do just to put a tube in it. And the reason for that is that the tube itself is large enough that experimentation has proven to me that the best thing to do is to put the tube in the tire and then mount the tire. I've also got to flip the rim back over so I have the valve stem side up. If all I was ever going to do is change these little tires, I'd cut about 6 inches of that stem off. Alright, break out the tube. This has got an angled stem on it so I can actually get at them. You got to make sure you put it in the right way so the angle is pointing right. And we got to cut the old tubeless stem off. And cram the tube in the tire. It's just, as near as I can tell, impossible to do that with half the tire mounted on the rim like you normally would with a bigger tire. Okay. And line things up somewhere near. The first bead you can work over just like that. And then bring the tube up and through. Make sure the tube is all over the rim. And grab your reseating tool. There we go. Like I said, a little editing. Okay, technical difficulties. Lost the tube, but I found it again. Anyway, so yes, they do work better than 2 screwdrivers. On the real small tires, it can be a bit of a pain in the neck. But essentially it works, and it's worth the $39 if you catch it with a 20% discount. And I will edit this and get it online sometime this evening. Bye.